From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of ParksCenter. My name's Ben, and joining me tonight we have Mr. Patrick Hackett.
Chimichangas.
We have Kamila.
Hi, everyone.
We have Spencer.
I feel like this is like the third time I've done this show this week. Good morning.
No, it's
Japan.
No, they're not going to know about that. Quiet. And we have Rob.
What's up, guys? Greetings from the Sunshine State. Sivako. Happy birthday, Ben.
Happy birthday, Ben.
Oh, yeah, my present this year is that this is the third time we're recording the opening of this show. This time it worked. The first two times were not working. So big shout out to everybody who watches this show live and suffered through this with us. So,
you guys are the best.
I feel really awkward doing this right after mentioning this, but this show is brought to you by the Vacationeer, the engineers of your next Disney vacation. And Kamila, please tell us a little bit about them.
Yes, so happy to tell you guys about us one more time. So at the Vacationeer, we are now the official Disney vacation planner for WDWNT. Very excited. We would love to work with any of you to help you plan your next Disney vacation, whether it's to Hawaii, whether it's to Disney World, any other places that may open up one day. We would love to talk to you about your vacation, so just let us know how we can help.
We're gonna be getting to some of that in just a minute here, but let's go ahead and kick tonight's show off with kind of a this is a big one, and it's gonna be a bit of us talking about it. There have been some massive layoffs announced at the Walt Disney Company, and this is kind of terrifying to me. So it started off with us getting an announcement that Disney was firing the Grand Floridian Orchestra on October 3rd, which is in just a couple days. We then got a statement from Disney about this when they heard about the fan reaction, which was, please don't. This philosophy is in keeping with Walt Disney's vision for continuing to grow and evolve. It's the reason they cited for
Jesus.
this. Meanwhile, performers at Disney's Polynesian Village were fired in recent cutbacks, along with Yeehaw Bob got fired. Disney Parks has then announced about 28,000 cast member layoffs due to the COVID-19 pandemic, some of which have already happened, some of which are still coming, including over 400 Imagineers, which are going to be laid off. And we also have some union and non-union cast members all being hit by this, which, oh my gosh, this is... Why? This is so much so fast.
Why? COVID.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's unfortunately, there's a lack of people going out, so there's a lack of need for entertainment, and so there are a lot of these, especially in the entertainment side, that were let go. And I hate to see the word fired because it makes it sound like they did something wrong. I mean, that wasn't the case at all. Obviously, they furloughed these folks for as long as they could, and then they had to let them go. I believe that you can only furlough people twice, and then once that happens, and maybe even state law, I think in California, you'd have to check me on that one. But they had to cut them loose, and that sucks. I mean, because there's already so much of that out there, so much unemployment. And when you see that Disney is doing this, it just breaks your heart because a lot of these people are Disney legends, really. I mean, not like the Disney legend, like the ones they give the awards to, but Yeehaw Bob and the Spirit of Aloha. I mean, it's really devastating as a Disney fan to see all this happen. I mean, it's coronavirus, but it doesn't make it any easier for anybody, and it certainly isn't going to help these guys.
Yeah,
it's really hard to see this happen. I get it. I understand. But we also just had a news story break that the executives returned their bonuses to themselves, while the cast members who are the absolute lifeblood of the Disney company are being laid off, are having to go through things like cast members' pantry in order to get meals, and it stinks. The law is you can't be furloughed more than one time in a calendar year. So because parks are not expected to return to operation before the end of 2020, that these people were let go, fired, instead of furloughed again. I hope that Disney brings some of this back, but losing the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra is something that sets the Grand Floridian apart from other resorts at Disney World and other places that you would go and spend your vacation dollars. This is the stuff that you're going to need when this is all over and you want to draw people back. What happened to the Disney difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so often when I talk to clients and I say, how did your trip go? What was memorable or noticeable? They're not coming back and telling me that they had the best time ever on Big Thunder Mountain or even Rise of the Railroad. Or Rise of the Resistance. They're telling me that the magic was made by a cast member. It was someone that they interacted with, some moment of magic that was made for them by a cast member. So I think that's why it hurts so much, is for many of us, the Disney magic is made by these people. But at the same time, tourism is being hit especially hard, I think, by this moment. And the reality is, the ships aren't cruising at the moment. All the resorts aren't open. All the parks aren't open. And so to some extent, I think this was inevitable, but really we're seeing this everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Patrick, to answer your question, the Disney difference costs too much. That's the end of it. I mean, it's so hard to see the wonderful little things about Disney World get eroded. I remember seeing the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra as a kid. I was 6 years old. I would make my parents go around the monorail resorts, and we'd stop at the Grand Floridian and look around, and we would see the orchestra and go eat and do all these little things. And it's sad to see that Disney doesn't seem to value these outside of park experiences as much. Things that add to the special things about these highly themed resorts, Mm-hmm. Something that I'm concerned about with Imagineering is they just finished the Tokyo expansion, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I'm concerned that some of those Imagineers are going to get laid off after they just did this big project, I saw some of them walking around on Monday, and it would be really tough to hear that they got let go after all that.
I think that's where you're seeing the difference between the Walt Disney Company and the Oriental Land Company, is the difference in what is important. And you see this huge land opening that we're going to talk about in contrast with all this being reduced in Walt Disney World. It's really, really tough right now. And I know it's tough for people who aren't going to parks and don't have that privilege, but it's hard as people whose job it is to talk about the parks to see this. It's never the attractions, Camilla, you had it right, it's always the cast members. They are the real true believers of this company.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, the thing I have to believe is at some point, you would think relatively soon, they have to start getting some of these people back, or getting people back into some of these roles, because as resorts do start to reopen, as we get closer to next year and all the activities they have planned for the 50th anniversary, one day cruise ships, you have to think, will be able to sail again. So, I feel like even though this is a tough moment right now, I would have to imagine if these people, some of these cast members who have been laid off, can hang in there for just a little bit, hopefully a little bit. I feel like, when people feel like it's safe, they're going to be ready to go again. And so hopefully some of these people can get back to where they were.
Yeah. I think the thing that just saddens me the most with this is that with some of the smaller stuff, like I look at Yeehaw Bob and I'm like, that's one person. That is one and only one person that you need to just keep on payroll. For a large company, that's absolutely nothing. It kills me to watch them throw that away when they could very much afford to keep that talent around. Because I guarantee you that that act has brought people to a resort and a bar that they would not have ever gone to otherwise. So that's a dang shame. But moving on though, before I pull a Pete, so we have more speculation and more interesting details about California's potential reopening. So the Secretary of California Health and Human Services was speaking about theme parks reopening, quote, soon, which, as we all know from Spaceballs, is when then will be now. We've also got a new commercial put out that puts pressure on the governor to reopen Disneyland by the Anaheim Chamber of Commerce, which I think is just amazingly, like, I want to call it dirty, but I'm not sure if I can or not. And then we've got Senator Pat Bates urging California to reconsider their position on reopening the theme park. So there is a lot of pressure on California right now, on top of everything else going on in California right now, which is a lot to begin with. Kamila, as our resident California expert, what do you have any thoughts on this?
I have so many thoughts on this. And
yes.
Can I just start with, I don't love that in Disney's statement about laying off all of these cast members, they decided to kind of throw California or the California governor or government under the bus. Even if you're upset, to me, that just felt unnecessary, and I didn't like that. Look, I want Disneyland to be open. Disneyland is my home park. I'm kind of right in between Disney World and Disneyland, and once Disneyland reopens, I'll be the most excited to return there. I want to see some more transparency from the governor, but this kind of public campaign, I don't like that. And this is a governor that gets high marks on his dealing with the COVID-19 from people in that state. And so, I would like to see some transparency from Governor Newsom. Absolutely. I'd like to have him say something more than soon. But I don't love this kind of public campaign that Disney is doing here.
I just don't like that they're still closed, and I think I say that every week. I said it before, and people were like, well, the state's on fire, and I'm like, yeah, but Disneyland. And I think it's also part of it, when we go back to all the people that were let go, is that, the sooner that they can get it back open, the sooner they can get people back in the parks, and the sooner get these people back to work. So, I feel weird about it, and for a bunch of different reasons, because in North Carolina, where I am, they just announced that starting Friday, movie theaters can open up, theme parks can open up, and yet in California, they're in the same situation we are. I know that they're at the top of the list as far as the most cases, but they're also the biggest state. So, I feel like that their numbers are in such a place where they should be able to open, but that's not my decision to make, obviously. I'm just a sad Disney fan that wants that park open, and they keep playing with my heart every time they go, Josh tomorrow is going to make this big announcement with the governor, but it's not going to include opening up Disneyland. Or, hey, there looks like this cast member's walking around, but they've canceled reservations through October 13th. It's just it's very heartbreaking from a fan standpoint. But again, I know that coronavirus, fires, other things are out there.
Yeah, and I will just say, Newsom's statements to me, and I say this as someone who works a corporate job by day as an account manager, they read very much as someone who didn't have the time. It's like that tinier client that you just don't have the time for, and you haven't really thought about what their issue is yet because you've been working on other things. I don't know if that's true, but it just kind of, the fact that he won't say anything more, to me, that's why it just feels like he just is working on other things.
And there are definitely some more pressing issues, I suppose, to reference the show that's on Sunday nights on our channel. But it does feel bad to especially be a fan of this and to be watching all of the job impacts from the parks not being open, and to just kind of have to watch people be like, I'm working on other stuff. Meanwhile, somewhere else has also been having some job problems. Yeah, WoW is the only thing I can say to that. Just this is probably the most un-Disney thing I've seen in a long time. We've got managers emptying their offices, staff forced to pay back health insurance. Like what? Like I understand that the Morocco is this separately owned pavilion, and it's owned and operated outside of Disney's control to a decent extent. But just the sheer magnitude of what has happened to the folks that used to work there is just kind of absurd to me. Like, paying back your health insurance? Like, what is going on here? Help.
The only thing I could think of is that this may actually end up as a net positive. And I'm really sorry and sad to say that. I don't want to see people losing their jobs. The story that we had discussion of chefs who were about ready to retire, and that's incredibly sad to me. Mm-hmm. I feel like Morocco coming back under the Disney umbrella might be better for the pavilion. I hope it doesn't lead to a homogenization of the food there, because the food is really spectacular in the area. It's just, it's not everyday Midwestern cuisine that you get everywhere else in the park, but it's a nice place to get something different. My wife and I did a falafel tour of all of the Walt Disney Resort and had some great falafel there. Huh. I hope to see that this becomes a more bustling pavilion and maybe get some attention, and quite possibly you'll see a whole new world.
Oh.
What?
No.
Patrick, come on, man. You really? Jeez.
For
more terrible jokes like that, tune into WDW News Tonight, which returns tomorrow night. Oh.
Patrick, you lose
it does
points.
Feel like
back on topic,
it does
please.
Feel like the Morocco pavilion gets ignored. Like, I just think a lot of people just kind of skip over it. They walk through it, which is unfortunate because it is a really pretty pavilion. Honestly, it's a great spot to get away from people, to get some AC. There's an interesting little museum that's back there that I feel like most people don't even know exists. Mm-hmm. But I agree with Patrick. I think it just feels like there's so much they could do with that. So many people love Aladdin, the live action, not to try to bring, more IP to Epcot. I know that's controversial, but it just feels like you really could do a lot with it. And it's just not drawing in people right now.
I think it brings up.
You know what else you could put in the Morocco pavilion? You could put Sinbad in the Morocco pavilion. Bring Chandu to Epcot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that that brings up an interesting point to me, is that we've really never been in a situation to replace a pavilion at the World Showcase.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, like, that's something that would actually happen. It's one of those things I've thought about before. Like, if for some reason Disney went bankrupt and you had to shut down Disney World, no one company could buy all of that, right? And so, what would happen to that stuff? And the same thing here. Like, if you had to shut down a country, would you tear it to the ground? Probably. And then, because there are very Moroccan things about that area. Like, there are some things about it that I'm thinking, oh, you could go Greece or something like that with it. But it's interesting to think of, and maybe I've never really thought what specifically would happen to a country if they needed to replace it, especially since they have so many pads available that they could have built new ones, and it didn't seem like they'd ever really need to replace one. But this sounds like maybe is there an opportunity for that Spain pavilion we heard so much about to go ahead and carve some space out and put it in there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Not to go completely over time, I know we're very time cognizant on the show, but we did see what happened when a country doesn't want to sponsor their pavilion anymore, and it gets an IP. And I think that, honestly, Aladdin is probably what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
Fair.
Chandu.
It would be cool. moving on from there to something. Let's have some happy fun times, please. It is time for Tokyo Time with Spencer.
That is the worst picture you could ever have possibly used of me.
That's fantastic.
Who could have possibly made that on this show?
Patrick.
Kill Pete.
Spencer,
That's a good
anyway.
what's happening in the world of Tokyo right now? Oh,
We opened a new expansion on Monday with a whole bunch of stuff.
we sure did.
Well, I did. You didn't.
Yeah.
There's the Ben is pulling up the Happy Ride with Baymax, which is a Swirling Saucers clone with 6 original songs composed specially for the ride. It's a lot of fun actually, because I got on the ride. I went last week for the soft open. I listened to all 6 songs, and so like I timed when I got in line to make sure I got a good song for the ride. But there's like all these cute little references to the movie. Like there's like we're looking at a kit to patch Baymax's holes, and earlier there's like the chip that controls Baymax's personality. And one of these signs up here says, "This ride is going to be sick, but not really sick. It's just an expression." Like there's all these cute little references to the movie inside the ride. See, there we go.
That's great.
This ride will be sick. and it's a Swirling Saucers clone, so you know it's not anything particularly special. But the light show synchronized to the different songs is really what makes this ride fun. I think it's best seen at night, obviously, for that reason. Then we also have the Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast, the flagship of the expansion, which is a trackless ride. And we have that video, don't we, Ben? With or the pictures, that works too.
Yeah, we're gonna go with the press photos in case folks don't want the full video spoiler of that. But
yeah, good point. So the inside of the queue is in the Beast Castle, and there's all these lovely areas like the shining knight armor thing. All these cool little references to the film. I was walking through it on Monday, and my jaw was dropped the whole time. It's so beautiful. And then you get to the pre-show where they have the Belle and Beast animatronics they showed off in that video, 2 years ago, I think, are part of the pre-show.
oh wow.
So you get like these really realistic animatronics. And then like in the middle, there's the window showing the stained glass features of the Beast story. And then I like, there's so many things that I just want to vomit out about this ride because it's so beautiful. It's 8 minutes long. It's an incredible experience. Obviously, we're not showing the video for like no spoilers, but I will say that the Be Our Guest segment is probably my favorite. I loved like dance. The best part about the teacups is that you're dancing around on these little motion bases. So like it's not just a traditional trackless ride. The cups are on motion bases, and they kind of tilt and dance around throughout the attraction. There we go. There's pictures of the ride vehicles.
It
So
feels like they
it
almost
doesn't
took,
really.
the flying tires, the
Yeah.
bottom base of the cup there.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an experience that doesn't really get replicated well on video. Like if you watch the video, you're not getting the full experience. You have to ride this ride, which is frustrating because of the way the world is right now.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's real rough.
There's a lot of other cool little things. There's Belle's Village. I ate at the restaurant for Belle's Village at La Taverne de Gaston. The French toast and cheese sandwich is so good. I like. It was so delicious. And they're serving an apple caramel churro over next door at LeFou's, which is also incredible. I love just like walking through Belle's Village. There's so many. It's just like this cute little hamlet kind of thing. And inside the village shops, there's like these 3 different shops. Oh, we're talking about the restaurant again. Okay, there's the food.
It took me that long to get
is
the food.
good. The food is really good. The shops are beautiful. We have a shop tour here on our YouTube channel that you can watch, where I like took the camera around and showed all the little details. There's a tour of the land also on YouTube. Happy Ride with Baymax is on YouTube. There should be a video of Beauty and the Beast again soon, because when I went on Monday, I had a terrible seat and it did not come out well on video.
Aw.
So They have these plastic dividers up for COVID, so I was sat behind the dividers and some really tall people, so the video I took did not look very good, so we're going to try again. Provided I can win the lottery. The popcorn store, thank you.
Oh, yeah, the popcorn.
Let's go.
The popcorn store is so pretty. It's like this weird galactic popcorn thing, and that chandelier, the little popcorn lights kind of flicker like they're popping kernels.
Oh, neat.
There's cookies, cream, strawberry milk, and caramel and cheese. The review is waiting to be published. All of them are really good except for caramel and cheese, because that's not my kind of thing, but other people seem to like it.
Oh, wow.
There's also the Baymax and Beauty and the Beast lantern popcorn buckets, which I think are in this article too if you scroll down.
Oh, let me get down there.
Yeah, there's the 3 popcorn flavors. And then we got the popcorn bucket. So there's the Baymax, which looks like the ride vehicle for the Happy Ride.
So awesome.
And then there's a lantern that lights up, and it has little different stained glass art designs on all 4 sides to tell the story of Beauty and the Beast.
Wow. There's also a Winnie the Pooh.
And then those other popcorn buckets, we've sold those for years. Those aren't important.
Those look nice, though.
Yeah, I love them. I got them for Tom and Jason. So
I want to go to Tokyo just for the popcorn experience. It literally is like my number one on my Tokyo wish list is to go and experience the popcorn and get some of these popcorn buckets. The Rapunzel bucket, I think that was out about 2 years ago, was legitimately like a work of art. They are so far ahead of Walt Disney World with stuff like this. It's sad, and we're having these conversations about budget cuts, and this is what you can do with an outside company running with the Disney brand.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is this land was budget cut. It was supposed to be bigger, but we still got this.
This is the budget version.
This is the budget version, because they were going to move It's a Small World over by Space Mountain, and there was going to be like a little Alice in Wonderland thing where Small World is, and then there was going to be like a second segment of Belle's Village over by Tomorrowland Terrace. Like there was more to this, and they budget cut it. So we have the budget cut version of this land, and it's still incredible.
I desperately want to go to Tokyo, and I just said in the chat that one of my problems is that I can't go because I'll have to have all the popcorn buckets. I definitely have a popcorn bucket problem.
Oh, that's great!
That's amazing.
I love it.
That's a good one.
I do.
Wait, here's the thing too that's really funny, and I've said this before. It's like if it was on the shelf in a store, I'd probably go, I'm not really sure I'd want that. But it's like limited edition popcorn bucket. I have to have it. So I mean, it's definitely a sickness, but I can't shake it. And it's a popcorn bucket.
One of the cool things about our popcorn buckets, I actually have the Beauty and the Beast one that I bought for myself right here. Wow. One of the cool things about our buckets is they are consistently they have the consistent sizes, so no matter which bucket you buy, it always holds the same amount of popcorn.
Oh, thank you.
Which is something that Disney World does not apparently do, according to Tom.
That's 1,000% accurate.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
All of our popcorn buckets hold, I think, 2 servings of popcorn. They designed them so they all hold the same amount.
Nice.
That is beautiful.
But the land is beautiful. It's so hard to compress that even into 7 minutes. Like that was a struggle for me to try and compress all that amazingness. Yeah, 7.
And my mom, who was watching the show, just texted me saying that she wants one of those buckets. So
get in line.
Hi, Ben's mom.
Yeah. All right.
I'm running out of space in my apartment.
Oh yeah, So closing out the show for tonight, a bit of talk about the state of Florida, or the state of Florida. Like I jumbled this. So
state of the state.
The state of the phase of the state of Florida. So
let's start the whole thing over, Ben. Let's start the whole show over.
Oh, no, not at this point.
WWNT, this is ParksCenter.
No, we've gone too far. We got to go around the horn. So we have Governor DeSantis moved Florida into Phase 3 of reopening, and the reason that Phase 3 is in quotes is that Phase 3 would technically still restrict businesses to operating at a maximum of 75% capacity, but the governor signed an executive order to remove all statewide restrictions. So, where are we? Combine that with the fact, though, that we still have face mask requirements in Orange County. This is not the state; the county itself is doing this requirement, and so Disney is therefore being in Orange County you're required to wear a mask at Disney World. And Disney did come out and issue a statement on this, saying that they're essentially we got the order, we don't know what it means, and we're not changing anything yet. So. Do we think that this is going to lead to a relaxing of restrictions in Orange County that's going to lead to no mask at Disney World sooner rather than later? Or do we think that no matter what any governments are doing, that Disney is going to still try and keep that restriction in place to help protect people and prevent transmission?
That one.
I can't imagine that Disney is just going to... I can't imagine that Disney's just going to throw out mask restrictions because the state of Florida says they don't have to.
Yeah, I'm sure hoping that's the case. But
if every other park is holding to these restrictions, there's no reason for Disney World to be exclusive of that. Yeah. Especially with the way the United States still is with the pandemic. There still could be another wave in the fall. That's what the CDC keeps saying, Why would they play to that risk and then have the possibility of the bad publicity from an outbreak that started at Disney World?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Spencer. The publicity is huge. I mean, why would they take any risk like that? Because they can control that environment and have you wear a mask, and it's for everyone's safety. And even if they're always there, I feel like they're doing more than they need to. And then at the same time, I feel like it's what everyone should be doing. So when we're talking about California not opening, and yet here Florida's going into phase 3.5, I think that. I feel like Disneyland should open because Disney World has done such a good job of keeping people safe, and I think that they're getting a reputation for that, and that will carry on. So even if Orange County goes back to not wearing masks, which I was there when that was happening, when Orange County didn't have masks and Disney did, and it felt unsafe being walking around at the 7-Eleven or the grocery store or wherever, because people didn't have to wear masks. So I agree. I think it's publicity all the way. Why would you stop doing it if you're keeping people safe and you have that good track record?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Rob. And I also just feel like so many people are keeping such a close eye on these safety precautions, and as they're modified and as they change. And I feel like the contract to someone traveling during this time is the idea that where they're going to be able to take advantage of the precautions that Disney is taking. And so, and I feel like already just with some of the crowding that we're seeing, you're starting to see people get nervous just about that. So I think it's way too soon to think about getting rid of a mask mandate or some of the other precautions.
Yeah.
While the clock has run out, if you don't mind, I'm going to hop up on the soapbox real quick and try and say things that make sure that I don't get banned from WWNC as well. We saw it in the chat here. I had to go and say, hey, let's keep this politically down the middle. This country is incredibly divided, and it is really sad to me that we cannot unite under the fact that we need to keep each other safe. And the political posturing that you're seeing, whether it be from Governor Newsom, whether it be from DeSantis, is disgusting. We need to just keep people safe. If putting a small piece of fabric over your face helps keep people safe, we should do it. Disney is not going to take the bad PR, and they're not going to risk somebody labeling this the Disney virus.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
That, if wave 2 is that, I can't.
Yep.
Oh, no. Stay safe, folks.
Yeah, no.
Please wear a mask.
And I'll join Patrick on that a little bit, because I've been in Japan the whole time. I haven't been to the U.S. since before the pandemic started, and mask wearing isn't an issue. It's an ingrained part of society here. So watching the political posturing of safety has been concerning.
Yeah,
I won't say any more, because that could get into a bad topic that we don't want to touch on, but that's just my thing.
That's a part of the Japanese culture for long since before the COVID-19 panic was wearing masks when you're sick.
During hay fever, wear masks to prevent flu and pollen. Wear masks during flu season to not catch the flu. I mean, that's always how it's been here.
Yeah.
But even in most other places, I just haven't seen the same kind of like, oh, masks, are they good or bad, or is our government, yada 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 kind of debate. So, but that's all I'm going to say. I'm done.
And just to say really quickly, we started this conversation tonight talking about massive layoffs. This is part of how we get people back to work. It's part of how we all get to go back to what feels like a normal life, is just doing the simple thing that's our part.
Amen.
So at the very least, I think we can all agree that we want to see, our friends and our family back to work, back to able to make an income. And this is part of how we do that. So I think that's why it's so important that we all take it seriously and do our part.
Yeah, I'm out every day. I go out every day. I see my girlfriend. I go see my friends at school. We keep appropriate distances from other people. We wear masks. Everyone's back to work in Tokyo.
Thank you all for saying what needs to be said. Like, I appreciate that. Stay safe out there, folks. And that is going to do it for tonight's show. If you like the show, please give us a like. If not, please tell us why in the comments. And if you want more from us, please go ahead and hit subscribe so that you get notified every time that we go live. Ring that bell so you actually get the notifications and YouTube doesn't eat them. A big shout out to all of our wigs. That's not wigs.
That's amazing! He did that so fast! Kamila, that's amazing! What a contribution!
Thank you, Kamila.
Kamila, that's amazing!
We're gonna post that image in the Wix cord later for you folks. So a big shout out to, let's see if I pressed the right, our wigs. Yes, there we go. Our wigs are WDWNT Interglobe Society members. You can join over at patreon.com/WDWNT. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support this show, every other show we put out. You can help. You can get access to our post show, which is coming up in just a moment. The post show for News Tonight, which is returning tomorrow night. It is coming back. And a whole host of other benefits, including access to exclusive Wigs-only content like Detailed and Ride Rehab Watches. So if you have not yet, highly recommend you check that out, patreon.com/WDWNT. All right, folks, that is going to do it for this week, except for the post show. And why is that still on the screen? Come back. There we go. There's us. Hi, us.
There we go. Hi.
That's going to do it for this week, folks. We'll see you in the post show. Otherwise, we will see you all next week.
No.